Education Department reveals illegal teacher training institutions. National Book Week highlights importance of reading culture. Bomana Holy Spirit Seminary celebrates 25 years Silver Jubilee.
This is NBC Papua New Guinea National News.
Good evening, I'm Antonia Singut. The National Department of Education has revealed a number of illegal teacher training institutions. Many of such institutions are on the rise in the country and have been producing hundreds of teachers who are not recognised by the Education Department. Mark Kayok reports.
The National Department of Education is concerned on the illegal teacher training centres mushrooming around the country. Many of them exist with licenses obtained from the Investment Promotion Authority. These institutions exist as business entities rather than educational institutions. Such institutions are not recognized by the Education Department.
Those colleges that are illegally existing throughout the country, we do not recognize them. And some of those who are graduating the teachers or teachers to be, we do not recognize those teachers as well.
The issue has resulted in a lot of substandard teachers teaching in system schools. Students attending such institutions may also be affected after completing their studies.
And our concern is teacher training is a national function. And if parents are sending their children to the unrecognized teachers' colleges, what it means is that they are basically wasting their money, because the Secretary of the Department will not certify them as teachers, TSC will not pay them, and most importantly, they won't be allowed to teach in our system schools.
The Education Department is not able to name some of these institutions, but estimates that about 10 to 15 illegal centers are established, with many identified in the Highlands region. The Department of Education is seriously taking drastic measures to address this issue.
We have information on these institutions. We have identified these institutions, and we are writing to them directly to remind them of the legality of how and why they exist.
The department has recognized only 16 teacher training institutions. A warning was also issued to those wishing to establish one to consult the department.
The warning to future people who would like to establish such institution, they can write to us, and before they establish the institutions, they can write to the Department of Education, and then we provide advice to them. We will provide guidance to them.
The National Education Board is the only authority to approve institutions under the Education Department. Mark Kayok, NBC National News, Port Moresby.
The Ombudsman Commission has welcomed the appointment of Ombudsman Michael Dick as Acting Chief Ombudsman and Mr. Richard Pagin as Acting Ombudsman. Ombudsman Dick fills the position left vacant by former Acting Chief Ombudsman Phoebe Sangatari, and Mr. Pagin fills in one of the vacant Ombudsman positions. The appointments were made by the Ombudsman Appointments Committee on July 29th this year. Both Acting Chief Ombudsman Dick and Ombudsman Pagin were sworn in at the Government House by Governor-General Grand Chief Sir Michael Ogio. The swearing-in was witnessed by former Acting Chief Ombudsman Phoebe Sangatari, the staff and family members. The appointments were effected on the 1st of August this year and will continue until further notice. Both Ombudsman Dick and Mr. Pagin have had vast prior experiences in both the public and private sectors. Promoting a reading culture in the country can help improve literacy levels and drive development. This was highlighted by Dr. Eliakim Apelis in his keynote address during the official closing of this year's Book Week program in Port Moresby. While the week-long program came to a close today, students were encouraged to promote and develop a reading culture into the future. Gregory Avira reports.
The dull weather did little to dampen spirits at the closing of this year's Book Week celebration. Students, teachers, parents and dignitaries were on hand at the National Library to officially end the week-long activities. A vibrant led national anthem by the students got proceedings underway. The theme, based on the acronym READ, denoting Read to Educate, was described as a concept not only for the book week but for the future.
It is a foundation for critical thinking. It is a key to gain new knowledge. And a new knowledge makes a person wiser.
As a sign of promoting reading, students from Agape Preschool handed out booklets. This was followed by a recital to showcase their reading and comprehension skills. The country is lowly ranked in terms of literacy, but it is through basic practices like reading that the literacy rate can be improved.
Reading promotes progress. Reading promotes development. And that's how we will advance PNG to the next level of development compatible to the world.
The National Library and Archives, or OLA, is an important body that looks at promoting a culture of reading in the country. OLA Board Chairman Frank Makanui said promoting reading is a key focus in OLA's soon-to-be-released 10-year strategic plan. But the efforts of OLA and other education institutions in promoting reading can only succeed with the cooperation of every individual.
It's one of Education Department's big events of the year. Let's make it our an important one, and let's involve every Papua New Guinean to be involved in Book Week.
Gregory Avira, NBC National News, Port Moresby.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill has wished Papua New Guinea's Olympians good fortune as they prepare to compete at the Rio de Janeiro Olympic Games. The Prime Minister said representing Papua New Guinea at the Olympic level is a tremendous honour, and all athletes will carry the pride of the nation with them. The Prime Minister urged the Olympians to be good ambassadors of Papua New Guinea and be proud to wear the national colours with pride and showcase their talent and skills to the rest of the world. He also urged all Papua New Guineans to get behind the team and gather in their homes and communities to watch the athletes compete. The Prime Minister said the government will continue to extend the highest level of support to the development of sports throughout the nation. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill has assured that the government will look into the petition given by the families and relatives of the Southern Highlands student killed at the University of Technology this year. The Prime Minister visited the family of the late student Graham Ramanong at their village recently and gave his assurance. He expressed his sympathy to the families while thanking the community leaders for their leadership during the time of unrest. Gabriel Begel reports.
After a month, the families and relatives of the late student are still in mourning. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill visited the village accompanied by Member for Imbongu and Works and Implementation Minister Francis Avesa and Member for Mendi De Kebanu. It's the first visit by the Prime Minister after the families petitioned the government following the death of the student.
Long talk mas long Prime Minister lo Papua New Guinea sta bonem mi bla long display lik place umimi wak teta longo kape normal problem time bien by one bla Prime Minister long Papua New Guinea back home long Isla, place Blumibla. So, we like to thank you through long Prime Minister. You make him commitment, long come.
Speaking to the people, Mr. O'Neill expressed his sympathy to the families for the loss.
Become Awesome showing face. Possible you mean? Stop loss kara you mean masikam na showing respect. Now firstly me like talk sorry through. Sorry through all mama, all family, all late grand. Now over the land you mean loyal lo country. Me amamas awesome you play showing good la passing. You play showing good la passing. Lo community blow you mean but throughout Papua New Guinea.
He described the university's unrest and the death of the student as unfortunate, but a situation politically motivated.
This levy come up because the young leader blooming inside the country, displaying good leadership.
That's right.
The blooming like Simokata something quick time. No got patience.
That's right.
No got patience.
That's right.
You know, I've been opposition leader before. Minasa pulling all sumatin igo na working fight blooming. Minasa pulling one blouse line igo na working fight blooming. Minasa going using more man the union. You like some power, you like some leadership role inside the country. Time in big man by Yuxin. Time in big man by Yuxin.
The Prime Minister thanked the people and their community leaders for handling well the situation, which had showed maturity and understanding by the people. He assured that the government had considered the petition given by the families and will look into it. Gabriel Bego, NBC National News, Port Moresby.
Principals of recognized teachers' colleges around the country are meeting in Port Moresby this week. The conference focuses on issues they are confronted with and want to improve on. Setting standards in all levels of education is the main agenda for the week-long conference. Mark Kayok reports.
This is the second meeting of principals of teachers' colleges, both within the private sector and government, including church-run agencies. The workshop focuses on teacher education, particularly looking at improving the quality of teachers graduating every year. One of the main agenda was setting standards in teacher education.
This is the workshop that deals basically with standards. Establishing standards in all our education institutions.
Among other activities, the workshop is also focusing on inspection as an important component of teacher education.
Basically, it's for teacher education to train them on the inspections processes and procedures because this year, for the first time after 40 years, we are now going to involve them in the inspections writing of the base level teachers or lecturers at the teachers' colleges.
With the government's free education policy, the enrollment in teacher colleges is more than the infrastructure can cater. Dr. Pellis says there must be certain standards established to operate effectively and efficiently to produce quality teachers. Mark Kayok, NBC National News, Port Moresby.
Overseas, Brazilians are counting down the hours until the opening ceremony of the Rio Olympics. The Olympic torch is winding its way around the host city on the last leg of its journey before the Games officially kick off on Friday. 270 Russian athletes will now be among those competing for gold after they had got the all clear from the International Olympic Committee, despite the World Anti-Doping Agency recommending a blanket ban.
Russian officials trying to put the best spin on this as possible. They reminded people that in over 20 different athletic events at these 2016 Rio Olympics, Russia will have no athletes suspended. Of course, that's a good news for them, but of course in other athletic events, there will be more than 110 Russian athletes that are suspended because of doping. The big question is, and that was asked to top Russian officials here, is of the Russian athletes that are allowed to compete in these games, can Russia guarantee that they are clean and not using performance-enhancing drugs? The short answer from the Russian officials was yes. Now here in Rio, on Friday will be the opening ceremonies of these Olympic Games. Officials looking forward to them, saying there'll be spectacular opening ceremonies and hope it ushers in what will be a very successful Games here in Rio after many problems leading up to it. But of course, there will be protests. We're told thousands of people are expected to take part in anti-government protests coinciding with the opening ceremonies.
We now look at the weather preview with Douglas.
Thanks, Antonia. Good evening, everybody. The weather in brief. Most centers have been forecasted to have rain showers, except for some centers in the New Guinea Islands, which will have fine weather conditions. Join me a little later in the bulletin for the weather details. Antonia, it's back to you.
Thank you, Douglas. Coming up next, landowners in Hilla Province form association to benefit from the PNG LNG project, and deteriorating road conditions in NCD concerns city residents. Stay with us on NBC National News.